How's it going, ladies and gentlemen? Welcome back to the channel. It is Saturday, April 2nd, so we're in a new month, and we're going to start this month with a video just kind of going over the inventory that we currently have, some of the stuff that's been recently arriving from the factory, and then we're going to highlight one used vehicle that I got, which I'm really excited to show you and also to give you my impressions about. First thing we're going to do is start off with this 2022 Corvette Stingray that showed up. That is a 1LT. It has the infotainment package, which is going to give you like the the PDR, the wireless connectivity for Android Auto and Apple CarPlay, stuff like that. It also gives you in-dash navigation. This customer did elect to add the bright red painted calipers. He also decided to add the carbon flash metallic painted mirrors to go along with the new carbon flash metallic low rear spoiler. I actually really like this spoiler a lot. I think it just finishes off the car completely. I like the way it's kind of flat and just overhangs the back of the car. Looks great. And when you do add the spoiler, they also give you the front splitter, so you do get the little extra trim up along the front on the bottom here. Let me not forget to mention that he did go with the adrenaline red interior and the performance exhaust, which sounds fantastic. Not a bad car for $66,425. And Frank, if you're watching, thank you very much for your business. For those watching right now, Frank's a very loyal customer, bought a number of Corvettes, bought a Colorado, a Silverado, an Equinox. Really great guy, and we really appreciate his business. Next up, we actually have a Tahoe RST that arrived. Now, what happened with this one is, when we were able to order this vehicle, none of our factory orders that we had already sold were lined up, because at the time, you could not order a sunroof. So this is a luxury package RST, bucket seats in the second row without a sunroof. It's available. There's actually somebody coming down to look at it today. It just showed up yesterday. So my guess is by the end of the day, it'll most likely be sold. Next up, we have a customer's long-awaited Camaro 1LT that showed up. Now, the deposit for this car was probably taking sometime in the summer. About 8 weeks ago, we got the allocation to order it, and now it's here. Just an incredibly long time to wait, but nonetheless worth the wait once you finally get your vehicle. Now, yesterday before I left, I kind of lined everything up and consolidated and made everything fit nicely into this section to go over it with you. So this is what we have available. Some of the stuff is sold, but we do have one all-wheel drive basic Trax that came in. We have an Equinox RS that's available. This red Equinox actually just sold about 20 minutes ago, so that's no longer available. And then I have two LS base model Equinoxes. The majority of our cars, actually, we usually sell our Equinoxes, so it's nice to have a couple of them available. What we need now is the lease terms to drop in price a little bit. It'll make it a little bit easier for people to take the new payments compared to what they paid for with their previous leases. We need to get those lease payments down a little bit. So we have 4 Trailblazers, one here and 2 here. 2 of these, I don't know which ones. One of the blue ones and one of the black ones is sold. Somebody's actually out driving one right now, so that might as well, you just call it sold. That'll probably be sold before the end of the day as well. So we might still have 1 Trailblazer available. We do have 2 Traverses. I have one here, which is a 3LT. Then we have a Sport Edition, which somebody right now is test driving. By the way, all these test drives, customers coming in, like, it's still slow here, but we're still selling cars. Last month we did, I think, like 65 to 70 cars. Normally this store does about 110, pre-pandemic and pre-chip shortage, really. So we're slowly creeping up those numbers each month as inventory comes in. But again, there's still plenty of delays and plenty of waiting on certain models. On this side of the lot, we do have a nice Malibu here. I also have a Malibu inside the showroom. That's one of our last 21s. We still have 2 21 models left. I have 1 Malibu and 1 Silverado. Everything else is 2022. We have a couple of Blazers here outside. These are the RS model. I also have an RS model in red in the showroom. Similar thing, as we were just talking with the Equinox, these are great. It's great to have. But when you're talking about leases that are like $600 a month, they're sitting. People just aren't leasing those right now. And then here we get into Silverados. So we got a couple of Trail Bosses, a couple of FLs, RST, a custom, just some random Silverado models. These are all 22 limiteds, so these all have the old style interior. We should be getting a new style interior Silverado very, very shortly. When that comes in, I'll definitely get some video content on that. And then lastly, you're going to see 2 Equinoxes here, but these are actually fleet cars or courtesy cars. So some company you know, through GM, has a fleet account, and purchased these and had them shipped here for their employees to pick up at our dealership. And that's it for new cars. You know, as you can see, the lot is still, you know, pretty empty. Our storage lot around the corner, you know, has nothing in it whatsoever. And, you know, who knows when we'll get back to any kind of normal, if that ever even takes place. Used car lot, no different. You know, just a variety of General Motors products. So I do have a Tahoe, I have a couple Traverses, we have some Equinoxes, we have one Honda Pilot, I have a Jeep Compass, and that's basically it. You know, on this side we got another Traverse, a couple of Colorados. Again, very, very empty as far as inventory. You know, we're just working with a much smaller supply, but the supply doesn't really matter as long as we have what people like and that people purchase. And that's where I'm gonna get to our last vehicle that we're gonna look at here, and the one I really want to highlight, because as a Chevy salesperson for 17 years or so, I'm a Chevy diehard fan. Like, I like Chevy, but I also like a lot of the other vehicles that are out there. And this one I took in on trade recently, and I gotta tell you, I'm impressed. This is a 2021 Ram 1500 Limited. It's got 40,981 miles on it. This truck has it all. I mean, I don't know what else you can get in a limited model that this doesn't have. This thing was like $71,000 brand new. I'm gonna park it over here where I normally do my walk around videos, and we're just gonna take a look at it, and I'm gonna give you my impressions, because I gotta tell you, I like it. It's impressive. This would normally compare to our High Country model. So if we looked at a 2020 High Country Silverado, we would have our new body. That was our model change and our model interior that we still currently have today in a 22 Limited. So when I look at this interior, it definitely is a step up from what we had. Now, in about a week and a half, 2 weeks, we'll start getting new Silverado models in with the new interior, and at that point we'll be caught up, but it's still 2 years later. On the outside, what do I like? I like the way it looks. You know, it's got nice LED headlights. It does have a, you know, it's got some nice chrome trim, which is, it's subtle, it's not too much. You know, it's around the grille, it's the Ram logo in the front. You have like a machined finished polished wheel here with darker pockets on it, which gives it a nice look. They are 22-inch wheels, so they're massive in size. You have some just standard, what you see on most models, chrome beltline trim around the windows, chrome door trim, chrome mirror caps. You know, so again, standard type appearance that you would see on what would be like a limited model, or like in our case, a Chevy, like a High Country model. When you look at the bed, that's where there's a lot of differences compared to the Chevy. Now, Ram has what they call Ram box. So these are lockable. This is sort of like what we used to have on the Avalanche. They do make boxes like this that you can currently get as a GM accessory for the Chevrolets that go inside the bed. In this case, they're on the outside of the bed. And then when you drop your tailgate down, you'll notice that the bed is narrower, still 48 inches across, so it's still 4 feet wide, but rather than have the boxes on the inside, they're on the outside. So I actually like the Chevy version better, because if you do get those accessory boxes, you can surely take them out if you needed to put more in the bed, like a load of mulch or something like that, and you wanted to maximize your interior space. This has a aftermarket tonneau cover, which is an aluminum slide type tonneau cover. Very easy to operate. Seems like it's very heavy duty. It's nice. It's a retractable that goes in. That'll open up your bed. And then he also has the bed extender, which is what would attach here. So if you were leaving your tailgate down, you get more length, and you can protect the items that are in the bed and kind of keep them inside the bed. If you look at ours, we have the multi-pro tailgate, which gives you the same type of functionality. What we don't have with Chevrolet is this sort of barn door style tailgate. Now, if you look, this would actually drive me crazy. Having this line down at the tailgate there, it's almost like, in my opinion, I think I would actually put like a black pinstripe on this side to even it out from a distance, because I don't know if it's just me, but that line would drive me nuts. Now, the reason for that line is you can press on the bottom portion of your handle, and you can open this up almost like what would be like a barn door style tailgate, which is pretty neat. It opens it up on both sides. This way now you can walk right up to the tailgate, or to the bed, I should say, not the tailgate, and you know, access whatever you have in here. So it's definitely a clever design. You know, the functionality is nice. Again, just the cosmetic appearance of having that line go down the tailgate. On a darker color, it's not that bad, but if you had like a white truck or something like that, that would absolutely drive me crazy. course, you also have a Ram box on this side as well. These are lockable. They do have drain plugs in them. This one actually has to get vacuumed out. But you can see here's a drain plug. So like they used to market with the Avalanche, you know, you could use it as a cooler. You fill it with your drinks and your sodas and waters, fill it with ice, the water will drain out the bed, and you know, you have coolers on each side of your truck. So that's pretty much all we'll touch on the outside. You know, again, between the Ram look and the Chevy look, I like them both. You know, actually, I think I am a little more partial to like the Chevrolet front end, the Trail Boss, that sort of look on our 2020 compared to this, but maybe that's just because I'm used to seeing them all the time. What you will see that I have a difference in is in the interior, and there are things I like about it, and there are things I don't like about it. So let's get to it. One thing I will say, this step is perfectly placed. Now, I'm a tall guy, so a lot of times I don't use side steps. You know, if they're not articulating like those were, I never use it. I'm tall enough that I just get in and out of the truck. To be honest, if I had a truck, I probably wouldn't even put side steps on it, and anybody driving with me that's shorter is just gonna have to hop in. But this truck, I noticed, compared to getting out of Chevys on a daily basis like I normally do, whether it be a Tahoe or a Suburban or whatever, this step is just perfectly placed. You open your door, it comes out wide enough and low enough that, I mean, you just step right on it. It almost makes total sense to actually use it. Like, I don't think if I had this truck, I wouldn't not use it. It's perfectly placed. It's right here. It's just well done. Let's talk about some of the things that I do like. We obviously have push button start with a auto start stop deactivate button here. That's sort of like a must have on vehicles because everybody seems to hate the fact that the vehicle will turn off at red lights or in traffic. So to be able to deactivate that is a positive. I also really like this dial. It's very easy to use, which obviously it's a dial, right? So of course it would be easy to use, but it has a very positive click between each gear, which I like. And then you also have all your four-wheel drive controls right here too. So everything's just laid out right in the same spot, easy to get to. If it has anything to do with your gear select, your four-wheel drive, your auto start stop, it's just right there. It's located in a nice spot. It's actually very convenient that your arm is on the armrest and you can just, you know, it's right here. It's perfect. By the time I get done with this video, they'll probably hire me over at Ram. Windows, locks, mirrors, lights, all straightforward, no different than Chevy, nothing new really to talk about there. Steering wheel controls, same thing, you know, just arranged differently than Chevy, but the functionality is the same. There's no real positives or anything there. What we do get to is our screen. Now, this is obviously where Chevrolet's been criticized. Our screen on our new 22s that's gonna be coming out is like the same size as this, only it's gonna be turned horizontally rather than vertically. So it'll be very interesting to see how that looks and how it feels once I get into those trucks in a couple of weeks. What I can tell you about this one is I like it, and I like it for a couple of reasons, in that you still have controls for your climate here that are hard keys. You know, so you don't have to go into certain screens to mess with your climate control. I like that. I wanna be able to get to climate control or to certain features fast rather than having to go through multiple screens. Now, that being said, you do have different cards here, it looks like. So you can run controls for like heated seats, ventilated seats, the heated steering wheel, all that sort of stuff is on the screen. Like, there is no heated steering wheel button here. You'd have to use the screen to do it, but you could also always leave this control panel up all the time. And then for your top card, make that your navigation or radio or whatever it may be. You could also make the bottom one the media card if you want to make that your radio. You know, so you have options to see it, or you can close that out. I wonder if you can use one card for everything. How would we do that? Let's see. That switches from top to bottom. There we go, look at that. So now you can use the entire screen as navigation. The entire screen is climate. Controls you can't. It's gonna give you a secondary card where it'll split it. Radio you can. So there's a lot of versatility on how it can be used. So it's definitely, in the few minutes I'm in the vehicle, it seems like it's very easy to use. You have all your presets, you know, it's laid out nice. This panel always seems to be here, which is gonna give you what you, your main menus of what you need. You have a nice backup camera here. Doesn't have as many camera angles as we have. Let me go to reverse real quick. Yeah, that's odd. Let's see. Do we have any more angles? There we go. Surround camera, front and back, a very close front, a wide angle front. So you get all the same angles, guidelines, everything's gonna move just like with Chevys. So that's pretty much standard. And what you would expect to see in like a high-end limited model in Ram or a high country with a Chevrolet. along this bottom row of buttons here, you do have your trailer brake controller. You do have your stability management, your tow haul, and your rear and front park sensors, which can be all toggled on and off depending on what you want to use. And then you have here your adjustable suspension. So you can drop this vehicle down very low and you can lift it very high. It looks like, I think there's about 5 different settings. So you would have like an easy exit setting, which would be your lowest, and then you have like an off-road setting, which would be your highest. You can get that sort of stuff, an adaptive and adjustable suspension on Chevrolet as well. They had it back here in 2020, which is fantastic. And you know, I guess that would just greatly change the capability in the ride, depending on whether you're on-road or off-road or just getting in and out of the vehicle. Let's hop in the back seat and check that out. First thing you're gonna notice when you open the back door, this thing opens wide. I mean, it almost opens exactly perpendicular to the truck itself. That's one of the things they did in 2020 on the Chevrolets, was they extended the back door opening on the crew cabs. And they did that to allow you to get like a work boot or a larger size boot in without having to turn your foot. This is a 14 size shoe, and same thing, I could hop right in here. Just a tremendous amount of space. And one of the things I really like about this, which we do not have in the Chevy, is there's a handle under the seat here. And when I lift that handle, this will slide the seat forward and recline the back. So you do have a little bit more ability to be comfortable in the truck. Still have, you know, still have leg room. My knees are just touching the seat in front, but you can adjust, again, the recline and the comfort level. It's probably about 5 or 6 positions. You know, as far as your back seat here, which is great. Up over the top of us, you can see you got a huge panoramic sunroof. I'm sure the sun glare was just beaming in that as I was filming. You also have a fold down center armrest here, which not only has cup holders, but it does have storage inside as well. Gives you more of a feel like you're in a front bucket seat, even though you're not. And then you have the opposite side. This is a 60/40 bench, so this seat is gonna recline and lean back just like the one I'm currently in. And if you look here, you'll notice these are also heated and ventilated. I'm not sure if the middle is ventilated. In the Chevys, it's only the outboard seats, not the middle portion. So it might be the same thing here. I'd have to check and see. You'll also notice you have an outlet down here. You have USB ports. You have air vents that you can adjust. No controls, just the adjustment of the air coming out. Everything's based on what's set up front. And if you look over our shoulder here, we do have the sliding rear window. Does have rear defrost built in. That's a power window, so just where your sunroof controls are up in the front, you'll find the control for that as well. And then you'll look and see that you have some speakers up top here. This is a who makes this stereo? I think it's Harman Kardon, and it is 19 speakers, 19 speaker stereo system, which sounds amazing. A couple clever things to point out. There is storage, a little divider here, so you can store things here. However, if you don't need the storage, this folds down flat, so now you can load up more cargo without that getting in the way. That's pretty cool. And the Chevrolet, once you get that storage, it's there. There is no fold down. The only way to avoid having that divider there would be to take it out. And also under your floor mat here, you have a couple little storage boxes where to utilize space just in the floor. So again, you can put a set of jumper cables in there or something like that. That's cool. Like, it's on both sides. Having little secret spots to store stuff is definitely a nice feature. With Chevrolet, we have the storage lockers where the seat would open, and you have lockers built in there, which is a nice feature as well. Same concept, just different location. All right, so I just spent like the last number of minutes really praising the Ram and telling you all the great things that it has to offer. And I'm a Chevy guy, but you know, listen, let's call it what it is. Now, what I don't like in this vehicle, in my opinion, is just the amount of materials and the different materials used. So let's kind of go through it. Let's look at the door panel first, right? So what do we have? We have, you know, normal plastics, leather with stitching. We have like a nickel finish around the speaker, and then the silver speaker. Same nickel finish here, and then the silver, more leather wrapped with stitching. Then you have like this decorative stitching, I guess because it's a limited. Then you have like this plastic panel with simulated stitching. So this is, it just made to look like it's a fabric stitched panel. So you have, you know, 1, 2, 3, 4 nickel kind of finished door handle, like 4 or 5 different trim works on the door, and that's throughout the rest of the vehicle, you know. So when you look at the steering wheel, you have leather wrapped with stitching, and then you have like this simulated panel with stitching, a matte finish on the bottom and a gloss finish on the top. When you look at the dashboard, you know, you have leather wrapped dash, or what feels like leather, soft touch, all stitched. Then you have like a simulated, what looks like a carbon fiber type plastic trim, nickel finish, simulated stitching, you know, bringing it down into the center stack. Same thing here, like your stitching, your fake panels with stitching, more silver trim. I don't know, it just seems busy. Even if you look at the seats, you know, comfortable seat, perforated, black leather, stitching throughout, piping, and then little accent trim pieces. Accents on the center console here where you have your limited. So some of the stuff I feel like they could have cut out, although the more I'm in it, the more it's growing on me. So, you know, maybe it's just me kind of nitpicking, but it just seems like there's a lot of different styles of trim and fabrics and textiles, whatever you'd call it. Like even this, you have like the leather wrapped stitched piece on the door handle here. So it's just a number of different materials used, which makes it very busy to look at. But maybe that's also why it looks nice, is because there's so much to look at. You know, it's not plain, or it's not, you know, boring in any stretch. I mean, there's a lot to look at in this. One thing we didn't talk about was our center console here. So you have cup holders, again, simulated stitching, real stitching, decorative stitching. This lifts up, you have some storage inside with a USB port. This whole thing lifts up to expose lower storage, and then this piece actually will slide forward and back. So as long as you put stuff and it doesn't come above the bottom of this, like if you had things in the bottom here, you'll be able to slide this over. Under these doors are cup holders, and then another little storage compartment, coin holders, things like that. So again, you have a, you know, tremendous amount of space to put things. It does have wireless charging pad, USBs, auxiliary input jacks, all that sort of stuff. And then again, this will just drop back down. So, you know, a lot of versatility. There's a lot of stuff in this truck. They did put a 12-volt outlet up on top here, which is real nice, because if you do use like a radar detector or a dash cam or something of that nature, it's nice to have something you can plug it into on top rather than having wires, you know, come all the way down to the bottom of the center stack. So that's definitely a cool feature. They do have standard glove box, like every car is gonna have. Small upper glove box as well. No limit on you know, storage spots and things like that in this vehicle. You know, overall, again, you know, I'm a Chevy salesman. I'm a big fan of Chevy product, but I'm also open to what others offer. And I got to tell you, this is a competitor for sure. I really can't wait to get into our new 22 Chevy Silverados, into that interior, and really be able to compare that to what Ram does currently, which I'm assuming is very similar to what they have now. And then it's just a matter of, you know, like the game has always been between the big three, Ford, Ram, and Chevy. You know, who's going to update their truck next and, you know, be the first one to offer, you know, what was at the time back in 2020, probably one of the nicest interiors out there. And here it is, folks, the original window sticker, base price $56,965, but with all the options this truck has, MSRP $71,055. This, my friends, is one expensive pickup truck.